Hello, ladies and gents, boys and girls, people of all ages, sexualities, and identities, and welcome back to another Doctor Who, well, sort of Doctor Who spin off review. The War Between the Land and the Sea.
Water. You live with it. You drink it. It comes from the sky. It comes from the sea. It goes into bottles, and you use it to keep yourself hydrated. But how much do you take water for granted? That is what the war between the land and the sea's biggest question throughout its whole 5-episode series is about. The people who came before us have woken up. They live in the sea. For years we have been calling them the incorrect name. We have been calling them the Sea Devils. But now we call them Homo Aqua. They have lived for so long in a peaceful civilization, but every time that the human race has interacted with them, it has left nothing more than chaos and disaster. The human race is numerous for taking water for granted. They chuck plastic into the sea. They put biochemicals into the sea. They poison their own sea. And they forget about it. Because it's not our problem, is it? It's not. But then maybe it is. Maybe that's the whole point. And that is exactly what the war between the land and the sea is trying to get you to think about. We open to a young man named Barclay, who accidentally ends up put on a mission to go to the coast of a Spanish island to investigate the ongoings of sea creatures that have been spotted in the vicinity. When they come across the life beneath the sea, they soon learn that Homo Aqua has been watching the human race for so very long, and it's about time that the whole world wakes up to the realization that they are not going anywhere. Diplomacy starts to be put into place as UNIT tries to investigate and tries to come up with a solution to the Homo Aqua situation by talking to them and hoping that they can come up with some kind of negotiations that they may be able to live and coexist between each other. But the government sees Homo Aqua as nothing more than a threat, and of course begins to consider nuclear missiles and weapons of war to eradicate Homo Aqua from their oceans. Homo Aqua then point out Barclay and say that he showed them respect, so they would prefer him to be the ambassador. This causes all of the nations to go in uproar, as they believe that they have the control in what is said and where and when. Barclay agrees to the terms of Homo Aqua as he believes himself to be nothing more than just a clerk, but he believes that the people should have their say rather than the government twist words and play politician. However, things soon become complicated as Homo Aqua asks Barclay to bring them a glass of water, and soon he realizes that they're in deeper waters than it seems. Barclay shows them the glass of water and points out that he cannot drink it because it is contaminated. After pointing this out, Homo Aqua agree that something needs to be changed. The human race then pretty much tell them that they can't do anything within 5 years, but Homo Aqua is not satisfied with this. And so, Homo Aqua gives them an ultimatum. It asks them to go down to Homo Aqua's home in hopes of doing diplomacy on both sides of the coin rather than being biased. However, when Barclay and his team eventually get down to the bottom of the ocean, it turns out that the government has sent a bomb. Salt and Barclay are the only two who survive this explosion, and they both become fugitives of the law. Meanwhile, whilst Salt and Barclay are on the run, it turns out that Tide, one of Salt's people, comes up to the surface and pretty much threatens the human race by saying that they will melt all of the ice caps, or they will rust all of the cities until there is nothing left. Salt is then captured, and then it turns out that Barclay manages to help her escape, But still being a fugitive, Barclay and Salt find themselves under arrest. However, Salt manages to escape after they realise what the government is intending to do to Salt. Barclay goes looking for Salt during his house arrest in hopes that he can find a solution and maybe they can just swim away, leave the world to its destruction. However, Barclay is given the code Accord and secretly doesn't know that there has been a virus that has been spread into the ocean. This is because Barclay was put to sleep by some kind of medication or drug that was put into his drink. Salt and Barclay reinstate after a while of a period, but it turns out that a lot of Salt's people have been murdered by the government officials who had allowed the virus to go into the sea. It turns out that Salt's people usually shed their skin, very similar to humans, however, theirs is more to do with their scales. Salt and her surviving brethren break the tank, and Barclay leaves the hall in hopes that he can reunite with Salt, absolutely outraged at how many people of her people have been killed, alongside a lot of other things. Now, a little bit of a step back. Let's go back in time very quick. There's a lot of conspiracy in this series, and one of the conspiracies is to kill Kate Stewart. Sadly, though, instead of Kate's death, it turns out that Colonel Ibrahim, Christopher Ibrahim, has been shot down dead, and now Kate is stuck with PTSD, where she sees him everywhere. They were in a secret relationship for ages, but it turns out that the unit crew didn't want to essentially blab this to anyone. One, because they didn't want Christopher to be deported somewhere else, and two, because they were just happy to see Kate happy. After Salt and Barclay reunite at the very end of this series, it turns out that Kate gets very angry with a guy dropping a bottle of water on the beach. She aims her gun at him and tells him to pick up the plastic bottle of water. He refuses at first, but soon after seeing the gun, decides to change his mind. So, the war between the land and the sea. What did I think of it? It's a very strong message about keeping control of your environment. It's a very strong message about keeping control of your world, and most importantly, respecting all creatures, life forms, etc. And for that reason, I give the war between the land and the sea a solid 10 out of 10. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next review. Until then, goodbye, stay beautiful, and have an incredible day. Or night. Or just festive season in general.